America runs on energy, and that energy comes in many forms. Oil, gasoline, coal, nuclear power, solar, wind, and of course, natural gas, all playing a role in satisfying our nation's robust appetite for energy. We need domestic energy to reduce our reliance on foreign oil and bring jobs to our communities. And more than ever, we need that energy to be clean, protecting our health and, of course, the environment. Now, as an employee of the natural gas industry, you know that only natural gas meets all of these needs today. But does your neighbor know that? Can you explain why natural gas? I'm here at the Charlie K. Vaughn Training Center. Now, this is a training hub for Atmos Energy. Now, like Atmos, many natural gas companies are putting increased emphasis on technical training. These centers train employees, emergency responders, and others who need to understand how natural gas systems are installed and function in our communities. The center holds training labs, a flow lab, a gas city, classrooms, and much more. The simulated environments allow employees to use tools that they need on the job and practice procedures and processes they might be faced with in the field. We will travel through the facility and equip you to share the exciting news about natural gas, our clean, abundant, responsible, and domestic energy solution.
Natural gas reserves are shrinking. False. Geologists and industry experts today say that we have 60 to 90 years of proven natural gas reserves, with additional reserves being discovered each year.
First, let's refresh our understanding of what natural gas is and where we get it. Natural gas is a combustible mixture of simple gases, mostly methane, plus small amounts of a few others. It's the cleanest burning fossil fuel and is found in deep underground reservoirs formed of porous rock. The vast majority of our supplies come from right here in the United States. Oil supplies about 41% of America's energy needs. Natural gas and coal make up a close second and third. Currently, nuclear power is an important but much smaller supplier of energy. Each day across this nation, natural gas is used to produce the things we use: steel, glass, paper, clothing, brick, electricity, and it's an essential raw material for many common products. Now, it may surprise some of you to learn that paints, fertilizer, plastics, antifreeze, dyes, medicines, and explosives are among the important products created in part from natural gas. Slightly more than half of all U.S. homes look to natural gas to provide warmth in the winter. And every day, countless Americans cook their meals, heat their water, dry their clothes, and run other household appliances with clean burning natural gas. What sectors of our economy use the most natural gas? Well, the top consumers in the United States are beginning with the largest, the electric power generation sector, then industry, followed by residential uses, and the commercial sector. Currently, 85% of our natural gas is domestically produced, and most of the 15% that is imported comes from Canada. The U.S. accounts for 24% of the world's natural gas production.
Natural gas is bad for the environment. False. Natural gas is the cleanest burning of all the fossil fuels, especially when it is used directly for space and water heating, rather than as fuel to generate electricity.
So how is this amazing substance formed, and where do we find it? Well, let's start with stage one. All of the oil and gas we use today began as microscopic plants and animals living in the ocean millions of years ago. As these tiny plants and animals lived, they absorbed energy from the sun, which was stored as carbon molecules in their bodies. When they died, they sank to the bottom of the sea, forming layer after layer of sediment, constantly accumulating over millions of years. Stage two. As these carbon-rich deposits were buried deeper and deeper under subsequent layers, heat and pressure on them increased. The amount of pressure and the degree of heat, along with the type of biomass, ultimately determined whether the material became oil or natural gas. More heat produced lighter oil. Even higher heat or biomass made predominantly of plant material produced natural gas. And stage three. After oil and natural gas deposits were formed, they tended to migrate through tiny pores in the surrounding rock. Some oil and natural gas migrated all the way to the surface and escaped. But other deposits were trapped under impermeable layers of rock or clay. This is where we find oil and natural gas today.
Natural gas pipelines are dangerous. False. The National Transportation Safety Board reports that on average, 50,000 people die in car accidents in the United States each year, while 22 die from natural gas distribution and transmission pipeline-related accidents.
The Gulf of Mexico is a big but diminishing source of these trapped deposits of natural gas. Now, when we talk about the Gulf of Mexico, we talk about two regions. First, the Gulf of Mexico shelf is nearer the shore and at a relatively shallow water depth. Farther out, the Gulf of Mexico deep water is where a lot of the major production takes place. These are huge reserves and great potential, but it's very expensive to drill and to build infrastructure there. The Rocky Mountains area also holds a significant supply, but like the deep Gulf, getting to it is expensive. When natural gas is cheap, it isn't practical to drill in the Rockies. When prices go up, the economic equation changes. The Appalachian region is a historical supply basin where there's still a good amount of production. One advantage of this source is that it's near the northeastern markets. Appalachian production has decreased over time, but there is potential for growth as new production technologies come online. Alaska, meanwhile, makes up 1.2 BCF, and the other states make up approximately 30 BCF.
Natural gas is heavier than air. False. When natural gas escapes, it rises and dissipates harmlessly into the atmosphere. Other gases, such as propane, are heavier than air, causing them to pool on the ground, similar to spilled gasoline.
So the big question now, how do we get our product out of the ground and transform it into the natural gas that is used in homes and industry? Well, the process of extracting natural gas and moving it to where it can be used is a complicated one. A lot happens behind the scenes to make delivery of natural gas to homes possible. Let's start with exploration and production. Exploration is the process of locating accumulations of oil and natural gas trapped under the Earth's surface. Production is the process of recovering those hidden resources for processing, delivery to markets, and use. Exploration and production both require large sums of money. A viable E&P company must have significant levels of capital investment available. They'll first have to identify the investment opportunities, analyze the economics, and finally acquire rights to invest before they can drill. Now, there isn't any way to be absolutely sure where new natural gas reserves are located, so geologists and engineers need to collect clues as to what lies deep beneath the Earth's surface. Advanced technology has revolutionized the exploration process for natural gas and helped them pinpoint potential reserves with greatly improved accuracy. This results in fewer unsuccessful wells and lowered exploration costs. Engineers use airplanes and satellites to map the surface to identify promising geological formations and to look for oil and natural gas seeps, all in the quest for above-ground clues to what lies below the surface. Ships serve the same purpose in ocean floor exploration, but engineers often get much more useful information by looking at geological structures and rock properties below the surface. Now, to this end, they use a number of tools, including seismic surveys, exploration wells, and gravity and geomagnetic surveys. After exploratory wells have been drilled and the resulting data has been gathered and analyzed, it's time to make the most challenging decision in the entire energy production process, whether or not the underground formation is promising enough to justify the enormous expense of proceeding with production. Geologists and engineers must consider, number one, the amount of natural gas that can be produced and how to deliver it to consumers. Number two, the technology required to bring the natural gas to the surface. And number three, the cost of getting it out of the ground and the time required to start production. The objective, of course, is to deliver as much natural gas as possible to consumers. Now, assuming these considerations are favorable, the production process begins with the drilling of a well. The geographic locations of these drilling sites often present a whole new set of challenges. The sites can range from icebound Arctic climates to regions 20,000 feet below sea level. In response, natural gas companies deploy a combination of time-tested techniques along with innovative technologies. Together, they enable producers to tap into resources that were formerly thought to be inaccessible. Drilling a well is a complex process, often involving as many as 30 different service companies, each one adhering to stringent around-the-clock scheduling, safety, and environmental practices. Understanding how a well is drilled better enables us to see why producing natural gas takes so much time and money. For one thing, there are many different types of drilling rigs. Which type is used depends upon the specific requirements of each drill site. Some examples of rig types include land-based, slim hole, coiled tubing, and jack-up drill rigs, now as well as semi-submersible rigs and drill ships. The land-based rotary drilling rig is the most common type used for exploration and production. Let's look at the process for completing and extracting natural gas from a land-based rig. The first task is to prepare the location. Roads might have to be built, containment pits dug to comply with environmental requirements, and space cleared for the drilling equipment. Then, infrastructure for water and electricity must be provided. To prevent contamination, an earthen pit is dug and lined with a thick layer of plastic to hold rock cuttings and drilling mud. Next, a pilot hole is dug at the precise location marked by the survey crew for the main hole. Additional holes called a mouse hole and a rat hole are dug nearby to hold pieces of equipment during the drilling process. Then it's time to bring in the rig equipment and rig up. A rig that can dig a 10,000-foot well requires 50 to 75 people and 35 to 45 semi-trucks to bring in and assemble the rig, normally requiring about 3.5 days. The rig is then inspected to make sure it meets all the specifications and safety standards. Rig operations continue 24/7, 364 days per year. Only on Christmas Day is the drill site quiet. 2 shifts per day of complete crews are assigned to the project. Drilling happens in stages, drilling, running, and cementing new casing, and then drilling again until the bit reaches the targeted depth. A typical rotary rig consists of a power source and a derrick for raising and lowering the drill bit. The bit is attached to a length of steel piping called the drill string. As the bit grinds down through the earth and rock, drilling mud is pumped down the resulting borehole to lubricate the bit. The mud is then pumped back to the surface to bring up rock cuttings. In the past, well holes were always drilled straight down, limiting the exploration to a vertical boundary. 2 fairly recent developments in drilling technology have increased the area from which a well can draw. Horizontal drilling can bend the hole as it's drilled and allow the tubing to reach a reservoir at a horizontal angle. Now, this makes it possible to reach gas deposits that, for whatever reason, cannot be drilled from above. Another method, called directional drilling, makes it possible to drill in a number of different directions from a single wellhead. Now, after the well is drilled, there's still much to be done before it's ready to produce and meet environmental requirements. All results are analyzed, contents checked, quality and quantity. Now, once the well is determined a producer, it's time to complete the well and prepare it for production. First, a pipe called the casing is lowered down the drilled hole. Now, there may be multiple strings of casing, one inside the other, which are cemented into place. Casing will also seal off the hole and, among other things, protect any underground water supplies and keep the hole from caving in. Tubing is then lowered into the casing. The natural gas will flow up through the tubing after it's perforated. Now, because the casing is solid, holes must be punched into it to allow the oil or gas to flow in while allowing fracturing fluids to flow out into the surrounding rock formations. A perforating gun is positioned and fired at a specific angle. Now, this is actually a shaped explosive charge that creates a perforation tunnel through the steel casing, the cement sheath, and right into the surrounding reservoir rock. Gas and fluids then flow into the well bore and up to the surface. Sometimes fluids are injected into the well hole to stimulate or fracture the soil and encourage the release of trapped oil or gas. In other words, fracturing is the breaking up of the surrounding rock through fluid pressure. As seams are created in the formation, the fluid leaves deposits of sand-like material. This material leaves a porous path for the oil or gas to flow toward the casing.
Fracking is like a mini earthquake. In order to frack, you need a mix of over 596 chemicals. False. The fracturing process uses a mixture of fluids comprised almost entirely, 99.5%, of water and sand. The remaining materials used to help deliver the water down the well bore are typically found and used around the house. The average fracturing operation utilizes fewer than 12 of these components, according to the Groundwater Protection Council, not 596. Fracturing has not only been used to increase the flow of oil and natural gas from existing wells, but also to access things like water and geothermal energy.
Some wells are outfitted with a system of valves at the top, affectionately called a Christmas tree, due to its appearance. It regulates the flow from the well into surface facilities or into pipelines that take oil and natural gas to remote facilities for processing and sale. Extracting oil and natural gas from deposits deep underground isn't as simple as just drilling and completing a well. Any number of factors in the underground environment can impede the free flow of gas into the well. In the past, it was common to recover as little as 10% of the available oil in a reservoir, leaving the rest underground. Today, advanced technology allows production of about 60% of the available resources from a formation. Offshore drilling is a very different kind of challenge. It requires specialized mobile offshore drilling units that have been designed to work in various depths of water. Jackup rigs are used in fairly shallow water. They sit on steel legs that rest on the sea floor. Floating drilling vessels, semi-submersibles, and drill ships must be used in deeper water. These vessels can drill in 10,000 feet of water and 30,000 feet below the sea floor. The semi-submersible rigs are towed to sea, positioned over the drill site, and attached to the ocean bottom using traditional mooring and anchoring systems. Typically, millions of cubic feet of oil and natural gas are pumped out these various rigs each day. Transporting enough oil and natural gas across the globe to meet the daily demand is an epic undertaking, and at each step, technology has been developed to meet the challenge. The processed natural gas we use to cook our food and heat our homes is 90% clean-burning methane, the simplest form of hydrocarbon. But that's not the case for natural gas, as it comes from the ground. Depending on the location of the well and the geologic conditions that created the gas in the first place, contaminants such as water, sulfur, and natural gas liquids may be present. As a result, gathering pipelines must collect the raw natural gas from wells in a given region and deliver it to local processing plants.
Natural gas is toxic. False. Natural gas is non-toxic and cannot cause you to become sick unless the gas is in such high concentrations that you cannot get enough oxygen to breathe.
To make wellhead gas ready for the marketplace requires separation and dehydration, treating, processing, and fractionation. Now, each step takes into account the physical properties of the materials involved, specific gravity, boiling points, liquefaction points, and chemical composition. Only then can the processed gas enter the pipeline distribution system. Transmission pipelines use large diameter pipes to transport gas for long distances from supply basins to the end user marketplaces. Natural gas pipeline networks are generally broken into three distinct systems. Number one, gathering systems carry natural gas from individual wells for bulk processing at a treatment facility. Number two, transmission systems carry the processed natural gas, often over long distances, from the producing region to local distribution systems around the country. And number three, local distribution systems deliver natural gas into our homes, businesses, and power plants. Compressor stations move gas through interstate pipelines to utilities or other direct purchase customers, maintaining gas pressure and flow. Since natural gas is used primarily for home heating and cooling, there are times during the year where physical supply is insufficient to meet demand. That problem is solved by storing gas in off-peak seasons for later delivery when demand is high. Gas may also be super chilled until it converts to a liquid called LNG for liquefied natural gas. This makes it possible to store and transport much larger quantities, but it's also very expensive. Now, just what is liquefied natural gas? LNG is natural gas that has been cooled to about minus 260 degrees Fahrenheit for shipment and or storage as a liquid. The volume of the liquid is about 600 times smaller than in its gaseous form. Now, in this compact form, natural gas can be shipped in several tankers to receiving terminals in the United States and other importing countries. At these terminals, the LNG is returned to a gaseous form and transported by pipeline to distribution companies, industrial consumers, and power plants. A distribution system, such as a local utility, connects to the interstate pipeline at a city gate. Distribution companies use flow labs, such as this one right here, to train their employees on how to properly maintain systems.
Natural gas stinks. False. Natural gas has no odor. As a safety precaution, the city gate also adds a distinctive odorant called mercaptan, so that if natural gas escapes, it can be detected.
Local distribution companies, or LDCs, do not make money selling gas. They're allowed to charge only what they pay for gas with no markup. Their profit comes from transportation services. They're allowed to charge a rate that covers their costs plus a regulated percentage for profit. With this delivery, the journey of natural gas from the producers to the consumers is complete. The end user is the ultimate customer. Theirs is the most important sector of the industry because they pay everyone's salaries. If there were no market, there would be no reason to drill wells. No need for building pipelines. No need to employ accountants to process bills. The way local distribution companies operate varies from state to state. In some states, the LDC market sells and delivers gas to customers. In others, customers have choice programs that allow them to choose the marketer who they will buy their gas from. For example, Georgia's market is totally unbundled. Residential customers usually buy from an LDC, sometimes from a gas marketing company, and in rare cases, directly from a producer. The marketing and trading companies buy and sell gas. Today, there are two distinct natural gas markets, the physical and the financial. The physical market involves the buying and selling of the actual product, natural gas. Here, physical gas is exchanged for money. In the contrast, the financial market treats natural gas as a commodity in which futures and derivative contracts are traded on financial exchanges such as the New York Mercantile Exchange.
Drilling companies keep the names of chemicals used at drilling sites a secret. False. Drilling companies must disclose the names of all chemicals to be stored and used at a drilling site as part of the permit application process. These plans contain copies of the material safety data sheets for all chemicals. This information is on file with the Department of Environmental Protection and is available to landowners, local governments, and emergency responders.
Natural gas today is for many a necessity. It plays such a large role in our lives and in our economy that certain aspects of the natural gas industry are regulated by the government. There are very strict government regulations and industry standards in place to ensure the safe transportation, storing, distribution, and use of natural gas. In the current regulatory environment, only pipelines and local distribution companies are directly regulated. Natural gas producers and marketers are not directly regulated. This is not to say that there are no rules governing their conduct, but instead there's no government agency specifically charged with the direct oversight of their day-to-day business. Production and marketing companies must still operate within the confines of the law. For instance, producers are required to obtain the proper authorization and permitting before beginning to drill, particularly on federally owned land. However, the prices they charge are a function of competitive markets and are no longer regulated by the government. Interstate pipeline companies, on the other hand, are fully regulated in the rates they charge, the access they offer to their pipelines, and the construction of new pipelines. Similarly, local distribution companies are regulated by state utility commissions, which oversee their rates, construction issues, and ensure proper procedures exist for maintaining adequate supply to their customers. These regulating bodies include the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, the Public Utility Commissions, the Mineral Management Service, the Department of Transportation, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the North America Energy Standards Board. The natural gas industry also has several trade organizations that help companies, including the Interstate Natural Gas Association of America, the American Gas Association, the Natural Gas Supply Association, and the Southern Gas Association. Well, we've learned what natural gas is and how we get natural gas to our homes and businesses, but can you tell your neighbor why they should be using natural gas? Let's look at the truths. Truth number one, natural gas is clean. These days, homeowners want everything from instant hot water and gourmet kitchens to outdoor living spaces and standby generators. So how do you help save energy, reduce emissions, and protect the environment without compromising comfort, style, and performance? Well, the clear answer is natural gas. If we want to do what's right for the environment while still enjoying the comforts of home, we should look to natural gas. Take a look at the numbers, and it's clear the case for natural gas goes way beyond performance. A 1,800 square foot home using natural gas appliances will average 46% less carbon emissions than the same home powered exclusively with electricity. In other words, you can significantly reduce your carbon footprint by using natural gas. In fact, natural gas emits half the carbon dioxide than coal and other fossil fuels. It's also a clean and dependable backup fuel for renewable energies like solar, wind, and biofuel. Furthermore, we can help to clean up our skies by operating vehicles that run on natural gas. For example, the Honda Civic GX that runs on natural gas produces 25% less carbon dioxide and 90% less carbon monoxide than a Civic that runs on gasoline. With a renewed focus on the environment, it's time to remember that natural gas is not only the best choice for your home, but for the planet that's home to everyone. Truth number 2, natural gas is abundant and American. We need to reduce America's addiction to foreign oil. We all know that. 57% of the oil we use is purchased from foreign countries. Now, thankfully, natural gas is found in abundance throughout North America. In fact, our nation has more of this clean energy resource right here at home than Saudi Arabia has oil. That's enough to power our country for generations to come. Thanks to recent developments such as shale gas production, these newly accessible formations, a mile or more below the Earth's surface, are a home to vast supplies of natural gas across the United States and Canada. According to IHS Cambridge Energy Research Associates, shale gas makes up 20% of the U.S. natural gas supply. The group predicts shale gas will account for 50% of the U.S. gas supply in the next 25 years. Research has shown that we have a 100-year supply in North America. That abundant supply means that more than 95% of the gas we use comes from U.S., Canada, or Mexico. Natural gas already supplies 25% of the energy demand in the United States. Because of its advantages over other fuels, it's sure to go higher in the future. Also, our vast wealth of natural gas can advance U.S. clean energy leadership around the world, create jobs and economic opportunities here at home, and promote U.S. energy independence. Today, the natural gas industry supports 2.8 million American jobs and has the potential to add $13.5 billion a year, that's billion, to the Pennsylvania economy alone. More than 30 states have 10,000 or more natural gas jobs. There are more than 2 million miles of underground natural gas pipelines in the U.S. that deliver natural gas every day to more than 68 million residential and commercial customers. Truth number 3, natural gas is the responsible choice for your community, home, and business. Natural gas offers many advantages, but most importantly, it's safe and reliable. Heating a home with natural gas is more desirable because a gas furnace delivers about 30 degrees warmer air than electric heating. A natural gas system emits up to 40% fewer carbon emissions than an electric heat pump, reduces nitrous oxide emissions by up to 55%, and all but eliminates sulfur oxide emissions. Natural gas also delivers a steady flow of warm air that heats your home faster while using less energy. Plus, you can expect your gas furnace to perform up to twice as long as an electric heat pump. Greater efficiency, lower operating cost, and longer furnace life. That's where the savings really start to add up. When it's time to take a shower or wash dishes, you want plenty of hot water and you want it fast. That's exactly what you get when you heat water with natural gas. You see, natural gas can heat water quickly and more efficiently. In fact, a gas water heater can heat water up to twice as fast as an electric one, so your family always has hot water when they need it most. For even more efficiency, consider a natural gas tankless water heater. A traditional tank water heater continues to heat water even when you don't need it. A tankless water heater heats water on demand only when you need it. This reduces standby energy loss from unused water left to cool in the tank. Install a natural gas tankless water heater near the point of use, and you could save hundreds of gallons of water a year simply by reducing the amount of cold water standing in the pipes between your water heater and faucets. A natural gas tankless water heater can pay for itself. Tankless water heaters save money with every use, and they last almost twice as long as water heaters. Another place natural gas is integral in our everyday life is the kitchen. Cooking with natural gas is preferred by professional chefs because of its precise temperature control and instant on and off capabilities. Just like professional chefs all over the world, home chefs want the same even heat and temperature control that only comes from cooking with natural gas. In fact, it costs about half as much to cook with a natural gas range as an electric one. And with natural gas, the kitchen is always open, even during a power outage. Any way you look at it, you can't beat natural gas in the kitchen. Natural gas. It's clean, abundant, American, and the responsible choice. Natural gas is needed now. The world's population is growing by 80 million per year. In North America, natural gas meets about 1/4 of our everyday energy needs. But our reliance is increasing. By 2030, our consumption of natural gas is expected to increase by 20%. We have a dilemma, obviously. Global energy demand is rising at the very time the world desperately needs to respond to the threat of climate change by reducing carbon dioxide emissions, many of which come from burning fossil fuels to provide energy. Natural gas is an answer to this dilemma. Now, as we've seen, it is a very efficient fuel to generate electricity, to power industry, and to warm homes and even fuel cars. Natural gas already covers around 23% of our total energy consumption. But many people don't know that natural gas is the cleanest burning fossil fuel. Compared to oil and coal, it emits virtually no sulfur, no solid waste, far less nitrogen oxide, and most importantly, significantly less carbon dioxide. The environmental benefits of natural gas are very clear. But what about the cost and the pace at which we can build new gas capacity? The good news is that new gas plants are much cheaper to build than any other new build source of electricity. They require half the capital cost of coal, less than 1/3 the cost of nuclear, and less than 1/5 the cost of onshore wind. This immediate capital cost advantage is very important, especially in today's economic climate. Gas plants are also faster to install than coal or nuclear plants. Many old coal-fired power stations will be retired in the next 15 years. By replacing them with modern gas-fired power plants, we can immediately reduce emissions by more than 50% per kilowatt hour of electricity produced. Natural gas is an essential part of a cleaner energy future. To ensure that future generations will have the energy they need, the natural gas industry is investing heavily in future energy resources, including solar, wind, biomass, oil shale, and geothermal energy. They're also exploring ways to tap the huge natural gas resources locked in coal and in gas hydrants, which are solid natural gas resource frozen in various places throughout the world. The bottom line is this. To meet our growing energy needs, we must tap into the abundant supply of natural gas. The Barnett Shale in North Texas is where horizontal drilling was first pioneered. The Barnett Shale is a natural gas source bedrock that stretches over 16 to 21 North Texas counties and is still actively being discovered. Its 6,000-plus square mile reservoir is already the second largest producing onshore domestic natural gas field in the U.S. after the San Juan Basin in New Mexico and Colorado. Vast new reserves of natural gas in shale reservoirs deep beneath our country have been discovered in the past 5 years. These shale reservoirs are now estimated to contain more than 2 quadrillion cubic feet of natural gas, more than doubling America's previously estimated natural gas reserves and giving us close to a 200-year supply of clean, affordable American natural gas. These unconventional reservoirs are a remarkable addition to America's bountiful natural resource endowment. What are the benefits of shale? Well, how about this one? $715.5 million in direct and indirect revenue from taxes to the state of Texas. $10.1 billion in increased annual economic activity. The Barnett Shale created more than 99,000 jobs in Texas. In North Texas, it accounts for 8% of gross product, 8% of personal income, and 9% of employment. And one average well generates enough natural gas to heat 26,500 homes for 1 year.
Natural gas holds promise for tomorrow beyond shale and yielding fuels. Scientists, industry, and government are exploring the dramatic potential that natural gas holds for our future.
Well, I'll start. I think our energy policy has been more about energy politics than energy policy. We've not really had a good, cohesive, well-planned, well-designed policy. And I think we're suffering from that as a nation because we're still kind of in limbo about which fuel do we want to be the primary fuels. Can we be more energy independent than we've been in the past? What role do the renewables play in our energy mix? What role does coal play? Because coal, unfortunately, is still not a clean fuel from an environmental standpoint. But yet we as a country have plenty of coal. Nuclear, what about nuclear? Well, nuclear accounts for about 19% of our electricity, but no new nuclear plants are being built. It's a clean fuel, but there's no place to put it. And I got to give Kim credit for this. I mean, it really was a good idea. You know, we talk about a bridge to the future, but it's really, we're talking about natural gas as a superhighway to the future because we think natural gas should play a much bigger role in this country's energy mix because of the characteristics. It's clean, environmentally superior to any of the other fossil fuels.
We have a 100-year supply of natural gas, and we can do even more than that with the finds that are out there and the technologies. And we can do it in a manner that is, you know, not intrusive, not invasive, doesn't do anything to the environment whatsoever. You know, we can drill, there can be natural gas wells drilled in the backyards of subdivisions, as there are in Fort Worth, Texas right now, and gas is coming and it's being produced in a very safe and reliable manner. So that's the beauty of where we're at right now with natural gas. I mean, it is obviously a fuel that is extremely plentiful, it's very available, and we're finding, you know, better and safer and more efficient ways of bringing the gas, you know, to market. Number one. And then I think also, you know, there's really no application that we shouldn't look to for the utilization of natural gas. You're going to see some pretty earth-shattering steps that will be taken forward in the energy business. I think you're going to have, you know, much more efficient applications for all energy sources. I think that, you know, that there's not going to be anything but optimism to look forward to in 30 years. And I think natural gas will play out and become, you know, a more dominant part of the portfolio for the sources of the energy sources in over the next 30 years, 30 to 50 years. I think it'll be a great world that people will have to live in, and it will be supplied principally by natural gas.
Natural gas is the superhighway to America's future. Let's spread the word. Let's educate and build awareness of natural gas as the most responsible energy choice. Consumers, builders, and businesses can save energy, reduce emissions, and help protect the environment without compromising performance or lifestyle by choosing natural gas. Let's take a look at a few examples of how the industry is beginning to share these important messages.
You know, it's kind of psycho how people waste energy. A low-flow shower head could lower your gas bill, but that's just one of many things a home energy audit from Questar Gas will check. To schedule your money-saving home energy audit today, call Questar Gas or visit thermwise.com. Questar Gas will save you money.
Today, we're all looking for ways to save money, energy, and our precious natural resources. When it comes to heating water in your home or business, natural gas water heating is much more efficient than using electricity. Did you know that as a result of losses during electric generation, transmission, and distribution along the power grid, only 1/4 of that energy ever reaches your home? That means over 260 billion cubic feet of natural gas used to create electricity is wasted or lost each year. And that's enough to operate almost 12 million gas water heaters. By changing to an energy-efficient natural gas water heater, you use less energy, you have plenty of hot water, your household saves money, about $300 a year, and you use our natural resources responsibly while keeping our environment clean. Heating water with electricity? We all lose. Natural gas. Comfortable, responsible.
Life stinks. Nobody lets me in their houses. I can't nip any noses. I give up.
Well, if it isn't Jack. How are you, man?
Hey, Thurm.
A lot of free time, huh? Well, everyone's got their furnaces tuned up for winter. New filters, clean vents. They're going to be energy efficient, safe and warm.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Cheer up, Mr. Frost. We can always find you a new job. Selling frozen foods.
That's cool.
Teacher.
Through breakthrough technologies, skilled people, and strong partnerships in gas projects around the world, together we'll continue to work towards a cleaner energy future with natural gas. For the SGA Network, thank you for watching.
Please join the SGA Network in February for our theme, Creating, Conveying, and Owning a Vision.